The number of fuck-ups that Nintendo have made in the past are substantial, and the number of fuck-ups that Sony has made are also substantial. But this could have been one of the absolute biggest. I mean, when it comes to Nintendo crossing Sony, you don't usually get bigger than that. I think that's the one giant thing everyone attributes to Nintendo creating Sony, because of them double crossing them with the Philips CDI instead of letting Sony create their CD add-on. For better, for worse, Sony exists today. And it's because of that. But what would you say if Microsoft tried partnering with Nintendo and Sony before making the Xbox? Holy fucking shit. Think about this for a minute. Instead of having the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the Kinect, the Red Ring of Death, all of that bullshit, instead of having all of that exist, what if Nintendo had owned Xbox? What if Nintendo had owned Xbox One, Xbox 360? What about Sony? What if Sony owned it? There wouldn't be so much of a competition, and it would be, again, down to Nintendo versus Sony, or Sony versus Nintendo. Either way. And it's really crazy to think that that was a potential and a possibility, but let me explain. So, in an article I found on IGN, it was stated that Fries, the Xbox co-creator, Ed Fries, when we first started thinking about doing the Xbox, we met with Nintendo and we sat down with Iwata and others, and we said, this is what we want to do. Could we partner? Could we work together on this? And they basically said no. Then Fries went on to note that Microsoft offered to handle the software and the networking side of things, while Nintendo could be in charge of the hardware, and they could team up to release a product, but the company wasn't interested at all. Afterwards, Microsoft made a similar pitch to Sony. Then Bill Gates met with Sony. Fries added, same deal. Can we work together? Can we partner? And they said no. Oh my God, right? It's amazing. I can't believe it. Fries did dispel a rumor of Microsoft possibly buying Nintendo, and he said, if anyone ever thought about buying Nintendo, I never heard of that. So, you heard it straight from the co-creator's mouth, from Bill Gates. No from Sony, no from Nintendo. And this really isn't a surprise, because believe it or not, before the Xbox had existed, the original Xbox, not the Xbox One or 360, the original fat Xbox, I believe there's a picture of it right here, yeah, that, before that existed, Microsoft actually did have its hand in consoles and worked on the Dreamcast, and you can look at a Dreamcast and you can see that it has a very low custom operating system that runs on it, and that is Microsoft's operating system. And so they did work with Sega and the Dreamcast, and if anyone can look back at a gaming system and say it was great, it was definitely the Dreamcast. Dreamcast did quite amazing things for the time it was released, overshadowed later on, 2 years later, but at the same time, it was really good, and Microsoft just went on to make the Xbox and continue with the Xbox brand, finding success with their custom IPs like Halo and Fable, now that are on their last legs, unfortunately. But it's interesting to see that Nintendo and Sony could have stopped this from happening. Yeah, they would have been partnered, and yeah, Microsoft would have had their own hardware, but damn, they would have been getting all of that revenue, all of that money, just because they had a partnership with them. And it's really depressing to see that never came about, especially coming from someone like Iwata. But that's okay. Rest in peace, Iwata. No disrespect to him or his legacy. It's just depressing to see that this never came about. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Do you think it would have been the ultimate uniting of consoles if Sony and Nintendo had came together with Microsoft and made a gaming system, what would have happened? Do you think they would have ended that deal later on after they realized what they could have done on their own? Or do you think Nintendo would have entered into an ultimate age of gaming? Or Sony would have completely destroyed Nintendo with the partnership of Microsoft? Let me know in the comments section below, and I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. As always, good gaming, and God bless.